Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to UW Bristol's credibility session today. Thank you so much for taking out the time to come to this session. Here, we will be explaining to you a little bit more in detail about the credibility interview process that we have in place. We have here Mr. Tom Lindley. He's the head of our English language department at the university, and he will be giving you a brief on how exactly the credibility interview has to be conducted. So that's a way for you to understand the process and explain it further to your students. So I'd like to hand over to Mr. Tom Lindley now.
Hi, thank you, Ranjita. Hello, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to come today. It's much appreciated. I know that everybody's busy at this time of year recruiting. So thanks again for coming. Today we're just going to be talking about the credibility interview process and actually what that entails from your end, from the students' end, and then from our end also. I know this is a new system and it's one that we've designed in order to be more effective so that we can, assess more students more quickly. And so that people aren't kind of waiting around for offers. And we do thank you for being patient. We know that this has been quite a lengthy process, and the transition from going to face-to-face interviews, albeit online with a person, to this new system, which is done electronically. So it has taken a bit of time, but we're pretty much there now. I'd say that, by tomorrow, the next day, the system, it should be fully functional and ready to start taking on your students for credibility interviews. Okay, so what I'm going to start off with today is I'm going to talk about the process. So this is for your information, and it's the information that we ideally like you to pass on to the students as well. Your voices as agents are very powerful ones, for the students, and some of the problems that we are facing, we believe that, obviously the agents are the key solution in helping us to better interview students. Okay, so at the moment, I'll give you a bit of an idea of what we're doing at the moment, and then some of the problems that we're facing. So first of all, I'm going to go through the PowerPoint with you. Now I'm going to do this step by step. So I'm quite happy for people to kind of jump in, put their hand up and put a message in the box to say, look, I don't understand what you mean by that. Does it mean this? Does it mean that? No problem. I'm quite happy for anybody to ask questions at any point during the PowerPoint presentation. But I'm also going to explain as well some of the problems that we've encountered at different points in the interview. Okay, so yeah, without any further ado, I'll bring up the PowerPoint presentation now. It'd be great if everybody could let me know that they've seen this. Okay, so can everybody see that okay? I'll just take that as a yes, because I can't see anybody's faces. So I'll go ahead and we'll just start. So I'll put it onto the full screen. Welcome to the UWE credibility interview. I'll just pause this a second. Okay, so I think that's been muted. Has that been muted now? Okay. All right, so if we go to the... Sorry, apologies. 1 second. If everybody can see it on there clearly enough, then I'll just do it this way. Okay. So when students, we get the lists basically. So I'll go through the process of what happens. Every week, we receive a list from the India team. Okay. And this is an Excel document. Now, our partner who helped us create this, this online platform are in the UK. I'm in Thailand, so I'm not in the UK. So there is a time difference whenever we have any glitches or problems, and it takes time for me to get in touch with them. So I just ask you to bear that in mind as well. So when we get the lists every Thursday from India, we then send these to the UK, okay? This is a list of the students. with their emails. Okay, so one of the first things I would say is if you are experiencing students coming back to you and saying, listen, I didn't get the link, I didn't get the link to the credibility interview. Now, the main reason for this is probably that the email is incorrect. So the first thing we would say is when information is given to the India team, you need to make sure that those emails are correct. Okay, I know, because it happens all the time, with my team, with other teams that we work with at UE, that people, are constantly, transferring data from Excel sheet to Excel sheet. People copy and paste the wrong things. They might put an extra digit in there or a wrong letter, and that means that the email obviously won't work. So I just recommend that you make sure all of those emails are correct. That's the first thing. Okay, so we get those lists on a Thursday. Let's say that's, I don't know, 3 o'clock India Standard Time. Okay, I then take those lists on the Thursday afternoon and I send those to the UK. Okay, the UK then put in place the automated emails that go out to this list of students. Okay, so from Thursday night or Friday morning onwards, I would say. So when your students wake up on Friday in the morning, they should really have the email and the invitation to the credibility interview already in their inbox. Okay. Now, it's been designed so it shouldn't go to their clutter or to their, junk mail or something like that. But if it does, I would just ask them to double check and make sure, because as I said, it can only really be one of two things. Either it's got into the wrong mailbox or, the email address is incorrect. So all of those should go out by Friday. And then it's basically up to the students to click on the link, okay? And then that will bring them to the credibility interview webpage. Now, the webpage is basically very simple. On the left, there is a list of rules and regulations, okay? It also explains that they must have their passport with them, okay? So this is the first part, is that the passport must be with the students. We don't accept any other type of ID, I'm afraid, okay? If the students are going to the UK in the next couple of months, they really should have a passport. So we need to make sure that they bring their passport with them, okay? So far, most students have brought their passport with them, but it's the next step where I think they're getting a little bit confused or they haven't properly listened to the video, okay? Right, okay, so as soon as the students get onto the web page, as I said, they got the rules and regulations on the left, and then on the right, there is a video, a PowerPoint video, okay, with audio. So they can either read it or they can listen to it, okay? So they can do both. It's not a problem. They can sit and read it or listen to it, okay? They can pause it. They can watch it 10 times if they want. That's not a problem, okay? There's no limited number of times that they can watch the video to make sure that they're 100% clear about what to do, okay? So before we get into this, I'll just see if there's any questions for the moment. Okay. So I'm getting no questions for the moment that I can see in the chat box, so we'll move on. Okay, thanks guys. So, all right, the students have got there, okay, and they're now about to watch the credibility interview. We'll just go on to the next slide. Okay, so the first kind of slide that they're going to come to is the pre-interview one. Okay, so this is basically an FAQ of what the students need to know about the interview, okay? What's the interview for, okay? It's for us to do our due diligence, and it's to make sure that the students are credible and they're ready to go to the UK. Above all, it's making sure that, if any students are getting stopped at the airport by UKVI, that they can explain what they're doing. They can explain why they're in the UK. They can explain about their course, about where they're going, about why they chose that course. This is all really important stuff, guys. So we need to make sure that they can do that, because if they can't, and it does happen, then it's a waste of money for them. It's a wasted journey, and it's just going to be really, really disappointing for them, okay? So that's the reason why we're trying to do this. We're trying to prepare them. We're trying to make sure that they're going to be okay, okay? Am I being interviewed by a person? No. As I said before, originally we were doing this interview face to face over Zoom, but as students were not really turning up on time, students weren't coming. We had people who were kind of waiting on students a lot, and it just wasn't really an effective way. So with this way, we found that, this is really effective because students can come and they can do it whenever they want. And all we need to do is we need to log in and we see the number of videos that have been recorded and we go through them at our own pace, and we can do them a lot more quickly, and we can get results back to you and back to the students faster, okay? So they're actually interviewed by an automated system where they go onto the computer, they read through all of this that I'm showing you now, and then they begin the interview, okay? And in this interview, they will be asked automated questions that will pop up on the screen, but we'll go into that a little bit later, okay? How long will it take and how many questions are there? So it usually takes around 6 minutes, okay? They're going to be asked 5 randomly selected questions, okay? They've got 80 seconds to answer each one of those questions. Simple enough. What happens if I make a mistake or don't do very well? So students should know that if they make a mistake, okay, or they don't do very well, then at the end of the video, they have a chance to redo it. They have a chance to re-record the video. Please bear in mind that students only have 2 attempts at the interview, only 2, okay? So if they get all the way through the video to the end and they think, I'm not happy with that video, and they decide to redo it, that will be counted as the second go, all right? Because otherwise they could be going to the end and then back again and then going to the end and then back again. And then, by the end, they're like a professional storyteller. We can't really be doing that because it undermines the whole process. Okay, so that would count as obviously 2 goes if they decide to redo it, and that would be the final one. The other version is that they actually submit the interview, and then if we're okay with it, then we'll give them a thumbs up and they've been accepted. If we're not, then they will get a second opportunity, providing that they haven't done anything that makes us feel that they're really not credible and there's something that we're not happy about in that. Providing it's just something that we're not happy about, a small thing that's not, it's not a major thing, but it doesn't meet with our requirements, then we will send a new invite to them automatically. It will be done from the system there and then. So they should receive that email instantly. As soon as we click the button after reviewing their video, they will receive a new link. Again, they can come on as soon as they like and redo it. On the email that they get for the retake interview that we send out automatically, I always put points on there, okay? Now, some of the points that I've been experiencing over the last week are really simple things, okay? We've had students who've come in, they've done a really good interview, right? But they've just been stood there with their passport like this, okay? And the first instruction in this video is open your passport, hold it there for 10 seconds, okay? Move it away, hold it then folded back up like a book in your hands, all right? And answer the questions accordingly, right? We're getting students who are coming in there going like, okay, just start answering the questions, and they're not showing the ID page. We need to verify the student, so that is a must, okay? If they come in and they don't show us the passport page, we can't verify them. Therefore, the interview is kind of void, okay? And we would need to take that again. The other one is that they obviously need to hold it, in their hands, okay, throughout the entire interview. But we'll get to that in a minute. Some of the others have been that, the audio, for example, has been muted. This can be that students are wearing, earphones that Bluetooth is not connecting or something like that. So in some cases, we've had no video, which obviously, we can't accept in any form because we've got no ID, we've got no proof of the person being who they say they are, etc. So that's basically what students need to know on the pre-interview part of things, okay? All right, so moving on now. We've got obviously interview rules, okay? And these are quite simple, there's nothing really that's too in depth or, so as I mentioned before, students must have their passport with them at all times, okay? No other forms of ID are accepted. Simple. Okay. The students must be in the room alone. I can't emphasize this enough. I had a student last week, and in the middle, I just saw this arm come out of nowhere, and it was tapping the student on the shoulder during the middle of the in the interview, and it's something that we can't allow. So the student needs to make sure that they're in the room alone. I understand this can be quite difficult, but you know, if we can really sort of strive to make sure that the student is in the room alone, or at least don't let us see anybody else in the room. You know, if they're living, you know, if it's a one bedroom house or something, for example, you know, we understand that, but they must, you know, be in the room alone if they can be. Okay. The student must be in clear view of the camera. All right. Again, it can't be like a close up like this. You know, it can't be just like a piece of their face and their shoulder. It should kind of be almost like this, like I am to you now, like that. And you should be able to see me holding a passport, okay, answering the questions, okay? So it should be that. They should be in clear view and their hands should be occupied by the passport. The reason for this is that we wouldn't want to risk our interviews, because a lot of time and resources gone into this, and we don't want to risk anybody possibly screenshotting answers or, you know, other things like that. We're not saying we don't trust the students, but it's a step that we have to take, because that's the same steps that UKVI would take. Okay, so we have to be prepared, you know, to make sure that we're following the rules as closely as we can. All right. You should not have any mobile devices or materials that could assist you during the interview. You know, this is similar to the test procedures and things that we have. Again, you know, we wouldn't expect anybody to have that, because if you're doing an interview, you should be looking at the questions and answering the questions, okay, naturally. Now, that brings me to the point of one of the biggest problems that we've been having, and I'd probably say it's the biggest reason why we've called the meeting today. These interviews must come across as natural as possible, okay? I've got no problem with students learning about the university or telling us what they think about the university. But from, I would say, about 60 or 70% of the interviews that I've seen so far, it's like the students are reading scripts, okay? It's like they're either reading a script, a pre-prepared script in front of them, and it's all about, you know, for example, can you tell me about where the university is located? Okay, the first thing that is coming out of students' mouths is, okay, the university is located at, and then they just read the address. They read the full address. They include the postcode and everything. And, you know, we could say, well, that's not necessarily a bad answer, but it kind of is when, you know, we've got like 100 students doing that at exactly the same time, the exact comments, the same exact piece of information. Okay, we're kind of looking for things like, you know, okay, yeah, I know that the university is located in the southwest of England, and it's not very far from London. That to me, and I'm not saying that students need to say that, but what I'm saying is it's much more natural. It sounds like the student actually does know about where the university is, rather than just reading some kind of pretext or script or something that they've even memorized. Okay, and for us, it helps us to know whether the student's credible. So if we get 10 students and they're all giving the same answers, as far as I'm concerned, each student has kind of, you know, pre-recorded, or, you know, they've pre-prepared answers to the interview. You know, they've memorized answers to an interview that they're just having now. So how can I say that they're credible? You know, and they genuinely could be credible, but it's kind of clouding our judgment when we have to come up with a decision then, because we just don't know if the student's genuine or not. Okay, so please, 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 I implore you to speak to your students, okay, and tell them not to pre-prepare facts and information about the university. Okay, if I say, you know, so tell me a little bit about your course, I don't want students to say, on this course there are da 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 da, you know, because it just sounds like they're reading the web page of the course information, Okay, that doesn't tell me anything about the student's intentions or about why they want to go and study in the UK or why they want to study that course. And it will only work against them if you do that. Okay, so we have to really, really, really recommend, just tell your students, look, you know, why do you want to study there? When you see the questions, just answer honestly and naturally. Okay, it's not about the English being perfect. That's not what this is about. This is about making sure that students, yeah, their English is good enough, but also that they're, you know, if they were asked questions, okay, that they could answer them, you know, upon arrival in the UK. All right, because if they've already got these pre-selected, you know, answers in their head, what's going to happen to them if a UK VI officer asks them when they arrive in the UK something completely different? They're not gonna have an answer. Okay, you know, perhaps they won't have the right answer. So all we're trying to do is get them to be, you know, as good as they can be and answer the questions honestly, but naturally, more than anything else, okay? Because it's about their future and it's about them, you know, going over to the UK and getting there and then starting their degree, okay? All right, okay, so I'll move on. Is there any questions at that point, though? I'd just like to see if there are any. Yeah, I'll be happy to share the PowerPoint. That's not a problem. I'm more than happy to do that. Yeah, I can enlarge the screen. I just don't want it to. Let me just see if I can do that without it playing. 1 second. Okay. So. Okay, I'll just.
Once you arrive on the.
So can I just make sure that's muted? It's not playing any audio, right, Ranjita? Okay.
And now
so
it's fine.
I'm hoping that this is going to stay paused for the moment and it won't skip on. Okay. So let me just see. Just want to make sure we're not skipping on there. Okay. So this then goes to the etiquette of the interview, and this is about, you know, how the students should, you know, kind of present themselves in the interview. Okay, so like I said before, they should be seated in front of the camera, a little bit like this picture. I chose this picture because it kind of represented how we would like the students to hold their passport and the kind of body frame that we would like to see. Okay, the kind of top half of the body. Okay, so you should be seated in front of the camera, clearly showing your head and shoulders. Okay, face must be clear and visible to the camera, so no hats, no glasses, no clothing or anything that could, you know, sort of block our view of the student. After students have shown their passport in the identification step of the interview, they must hold it in front of them, okay, for the remainder of the interview. The camera must be able to see the student's hands and passport. So we're going to show you now exactly the steps and how it should be done. But basically, the student comes in, they open to the photo page, they put it to the camera, 10 seconds, they take it away, they fold it up and they hold it, and then they begin to answer the questions. Okay, so the interview procedure. When you get onto the web page, or when the students get onto the web page, okay, this is what they're going to see. They're going to see the interview procedure. They'll see this, they'll see that page there. Sorry. Okay, they will see this page. The video on the right is not there anymore. This video has now been replaced by the PowerPoint that I'm currently showing you. Okay, so this is what the students will arrive on. Okay, from here, they can either go to record interview, which is at the top of the page there, you can see, or they can go to the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, which says begin, okay, and they can start the interview. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. The interview procedure. So like I said, the first thing that they need to do is they need to start the interview. Okay. So it will count down 3, 2, 1. The question will appear on the screen. They don't need to worry. They've got 80 seconds to answer all of the questions, each question. So just for the first 10 seconds of that first question, they just need to hold their passport clearly there so that we can see it. And then they just fold it away as per the next picture. Okay. So after that, once this is done, lower the passport, hold it in front of them, and they need to answer each of the questions. Okay. Each question is 80 seconds. All right. If they finish answering the question before 80 seconds, there is a skip button in the next, in the bottom right-hand corner. They just need to click that and it will take them to the next question. Sorry, my PowerPoint's got a mind of its own. Okay. So it will take them to the next question, okay? Or alternatively, they can just wait. If they wait, that's fine. They can just, the time will elapse and it will automatically move to the next question, okay? So once the interview is complete, they can choose to submit the interview or retake the interview, like I mentioned before, okay? It's up to them. They can submit it or they can retake it. But please be reminded, if they retake it, that will class as their second attempt, and that will be the final attempt as well, okay? We then need obviously some time to assess, but it shouldn't be more than a couple of days turnaround, okay, for the students' results. These will then be sent back to the India team, who will be able to inform the students or the agents, and then you guys can inform, the students of their results, okay? We do ask that when you receive the results from the India team, that you inform the students as soon as possible. Just as an example today, I've already had students email me to my personal email sort of saying, can you tell me if I passed or not, and things like that. But I've already given the results to the India team. They've already given it to the agents. So I don't really want to answer the students. It's not my job to be able to have to answer to the students, if you see what I mean. We are just conducting the interviews, okay? The answers and the results are given to the India team. The India team then give it to the agents, and then the agents obviously to the students. So the quicker we can do that, the better it will be for the students as well, okay? If they're asked to retake the interview, as I mentioned, when we are reviewing them, we will send out another email, okay? The students just need to go back into their email, and then they can follow the link, and the whole procedure, it just starts again. We also will inform, the India team frequently about students who need to retake, so that they can inform the students that they've been asked to retake the interview and to check their email, okay? But I would just say to these students anyway, look, if you've just done the interview, check your email the next day. Just check it, because if there's nothing there in their email, it means they've either passed or they failed, okay? And that will be up to you guys to let them know that they've passed or failed, okay? But if they do have a new link in there, it will tell them the reasons in that email why they've been asked to retake the interview. And they should really take notice of that, because I've had students where I've said, okay, reason for needing to retake the interview, no passport page was shown, right? The student hasn't read it. They've gone straight back into the interview and they've just gone in and they've started again and they haven't shown the passport, right? That puts me in a bit of an awkward situation then, because after 2 links, I can't send them another one out, right? So then I have to get back in touch with the UK and say, the student clearly didn't read the thing. It's not really their fault. They've just made a mistake. But at some point, we can't keep doing that forever, okay? Because the numbers of students taking credibility interviews is going to get bigger and bigger, and we simply won't have the time or resource to do that. So it's really, really, really important, if students are asked to retake an interview, they read the bullet points in the email stating what they were doing wrong, okay? It's very simple, okay? It might be something as simple as hold your passport when you're answering the questions, or open your passport and show the photo page, okay? It might be something like, the answers seem very scripted. We were looking for a more natural response to the answers. If it says that, then you need to make sure that the students know, going to redo the interview, if they just do the same thing again and the answer sounds scripted, and it's not what we're looking for, then we will fail them. They will be deemed not credible, okay? And finally, step 5, once you have passed your interview, we will inform our admissions team, and a note will be made on your file allowing you to apply for CAS, okay? So that will be us basically informing our admissions team that, you know, the students can now apply for CAS, but obviously you will be informed as well at the same time, okay? Also, you'll be informed if a student has failed, then obviously it's our duty to withdraw them on our side, but you will also need to let them know about that as well, okay? So that is the end of the PowerPoint. It's about 4 minutes, the video on the website that the students need to watch. Like I said, they can watch that as many times as they like. It's completely up to them. Okay, there's no limit on how many times they can watch it. So really, if we're going to be honest and if we're going to be really blunt, there's no excuses really why they shouldn't be able to follow those instructions, you know. And we'd expect any student going to study in the UK should be able to follow those instructions because we've tried to make them as simple as possible. So that's pretty much it, I think, for now. But I'm really happy to take any questions anybody might have for the moment.
All right, thank you so much, Tom. It was a really informative session, and I guess the agents must have got a basic idea about the things. So before we go into the question answers, I'd just like to reiterate a few points again. So number one, this request, as you all agents know, the request for credibility has to be sent from you to us. So we will require a mail from you. It has to be sent to the south.asia@uwe.ac.uk ID. Keep the subject as credibility interview request. Please mention the student's UWE ID, the student's name, and the correct mail ID of the student. We want to make sure that when the mails go out, the student definitely receives them without any issues with regard to the mail ID. So please do mention the mail ID in the mails also. All right. Second, a few points that Tom mentioned, which it is very important to note. The student must hear, look at the video or hear the hear the video or look at the PPT to understand the exact process. That is very important. As you know, it is an automated system. 6 minutes to complete the entire thing, 5 random questions, and 80 seconds for each question. Only 2 attempts will be allowed. If the student retakes in the same link, the second, that will be counted as the second attempt. In case the team feels that they would like to give the student another chance, then the second link will be sent out. Okay. And please note that when a retake mail is sent, it will mention the reason for retake. So the students have to read that and accordingly take the next, do the next recording. It's very important because if they continue with the same mistake, it's very difficult to judge whether they are credible or give them, a proper result. So it's very important. So please advise your students to do accordingly. And the most important thing is, it is good to advise your students, but please make sure that they keep it as natural as possible and not scripted. Because if they just keep reading from the paper or from the screen, it's really not going to help them. So please keep these points in mind. And yes, we are open to your questions now. So I'll be just looking at that and I'll let you know. All right, so the question we have first is how much time students have to wait for interview result?
Okay, so I mean, with that, we would usually say it depends on it depends on everybody. Okay, so for me, I can easily say that it will be 2 days maximum. Okay, for me to get the results to the India team. Now, then the India team, I assume, would get the results to the agents very quickly. Okay, so then it would be down to the agents. It's all down to you guys, and I'm not picking out any names or anything here. But like I said, I've already had emails from students today asking me for results, which I know I've already sent to Ranjita, and Ranjita has already sent to the agents. So it's clearly on the agent side. So it is all down to that. But I can tell you from my end that there will be a maximum of 2 days and they will have the results.
Right. So with regard to the responses, to understand what is the status of your student, you can either drop a mail to south.asia, or you can get in touch with your respective regional managers, your area managers of the UWE team, or please feel free to message me also and call me to ask me the result. I'll be more than happy to let you know the details. All right. The next question is, will the questions be same if a student gets the second attempt?
No, we do have a certain number of questions that are on a randomized weekly kind of turnover. We are looking to change these every week as well. So no, they will not be the same questions if the student takes it a second time.
All right, thank you. Do all students need to do the credibility interview, or will you tell us if a student has to do the interview? Well, I guess I can answer that. As you all are aware, all students from Punjab, Haryana, and Gujarat region have to mandatorily, definitely do the credibility interview. So once these students get their unconditional offers, you need to send us a mail to schedule them for the credibility interview, and we will make sure that they get the link to do their recording. Right? Okay, so the next we have is there any scheduled timing for the interview?
There is not. The student can basically go and do that at their own convenience. They can do it at 2 a.m. if they want. It really doesn't make a difference. All I would say is that usually, you know, when we're going on to check these, we do it on a daily basis to check the interviews. That's why the turnaround is very quick. Perhaps the only time you might not get a quicker turnaround is on the weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays. But we do anticipate our new member of staff to obviously look at these on a Saturday morning as well. So it'll probably be only Sunday when these are not checked. Okay.
Perfect. So once the student gets the links, it's up to them when they can do it and send it back. But it would be better if your students, do it as soon as possible, so that, they can move on to the next step. Because after that, there are quite a few things for us to complete. So that needs to be done. All right. So I guess that's
what the question's about. I think it just says. So the questions basically, it does actually describe what the questions are about on the landing page, okay? So when students go on to do their interview, they can read what the questions are going to be about. It does give you the 5 topics, okay? I don't really want to say it because I think it's up to the students, and I don't want them to really know before they go on, okay? So they should be able to go on. They shouldn't, because all that's going to happen if we said to the students now, okay, students, these questions are going to be about this, and this, then, it just seems to me like they'd want to prepare something to be ready, whereas we want it to be more natural. It is all regarding the university and about their studies and whatnot, but I don't really want to go into specifics on that because I think that students should be able to look at that and say, right, yeah, no problem, I can answer that. There's no trickery involved, we're not trying to catch anybody out, they're basic questions that we would hope any student going to study in the UK would know.
Right. So we just have this, the person who had asked this question earlier. Can you repeat the answer of the question? Is there any timing scheduled for the interview?
Okay, well, the second point we've answered already. Can you repeat the answer of the question individually? No, they can't go back, during the interview. They can only repeat it once they get to the end. They can only go back and retake it once at the end. Now, in regards to, can they correct themselves in the middle of a question? Of course they can. If they feel halfway through, oh, I didn't read that question properly, I'm answering it in the wrong way, then they can go back and correct themselves, of course, and we would take that into account. It's like I said, it's not a test, it's an interview. Okay.
All right. And regarding obviously the timing schedule for the interview, the link has been sent to the student. And
Okay.
as Tom mentioned in the beginning of the session, that every Thursday we compile the list and we send it to Tom. So till Thursday, all your students who need the interview, their mails can be sent to us and we will compile the list and send it off. So you can expect the students to get the links in their mail IDs maybe by Thursday late night or Friday morning. I guess Friday morning would be a better option.
Sure. If there are any changes on that, obviously I will update, Ranjita as and when on the ARTI. just looking at this person, sorry, Harsh Kapoor, you've asked about a specific student. You know, I've got my schedule in front of me already, and I can tell you that I've already sent them out another invitation already. So if we're saying that the student hasn't got that, that's quite strange because, you know, a student, if they've received a link once initially, then there's no reason they shouldn't receive the second link because, you know, we've already used that email. So we would ask them to properly look through their email to make sure they've got the link. If not, please get back to either Ranjita or Niati, and just they can inform me. I think that's the best way.
Sure, perfect, great. I guess we are done there with the questions. I don't think any of them have too many doubts now because definitely the session was really good. I guess they have got the basic idea. Other than that, yes, if we have anything, we will get back. Okay, just a few more here. Okay, so Harsh says he's not received the second link.
All right, okay, Harsh, thanks. Okay, well, let me look into that. I'll attempt to send them a second link again today. And then again, if it hasn't, you know, been sorted, please do get back to Ranjita or Niati. Okay.
Yeah, Harsh, I'd advise you to tell the student to check the spam and the junk folders also. In spite of getting one mail once, the second might just go into one of the other folders. So just check that one more time. Yeah. And can the offer letter be sent quickly? Well, all the students that are requested for credibility mostly are already unconditional offer holders. So the only thing that you need from us is the result of the credibility. And obviously, if the student has cleared it and you get a positive result from us, you can just go ahead and make the deposit payment for the student. The offer letter will be issued. The letter for the credibility, positive credibility will be issued in due course. So that you don't need to worry. It will be updated on the student's record. Yeah, so once they receive the interview link, they can start the interview at any time. It is up to them. So the link has come. It's on them when they want to do it. Like Tom said, they can do it at night, 2 a.m. if they want. That's absolutely fine. But they should just do it and make sure that they do it properly in the correct process. Check the video, understand the process, and then do it. Right? So yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Just to let you know, Harsh, I've resent that link to the student already, so hopefully they should have received it by now. Okay. Okay. Thanks for your time as well.
Great. So I guess that's it. And thank you so much to everyone for attending this session. And I hope it was really informative. Any doubts, any clarifications, please feel free to get in touch with us on the South.Asia mail ID, or you can also get in touch with me for any clarifications.
Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks so much for coming. Okay, take care.